Hello, everyone. It's day 92 of 100 Days of Ayurveda. I know I started and got up to 90, and then just life happened, and it has been busy plus a lot going on. So I just wanted to hop on today and get back on track with 100 Days of Ayurveda. So today we are on day 92 and super exciting. It's just like eight more episodes. I'm going to hang on here for a little bit till I see a few people sign in here or just join me for this live. So if you are watching this live, say a quick hi. If you're watching this as a replay, you can always post a hashtag as replay. And today is quite an interesting topic. It's a topic that has been asked for or demanded. So that is why I'm doing this specific topic. Thanks, Vati. Thank you so much. So that is why I'm doing this topic because we always talk about weight gain. Everybody struggles with weight gain and eat less, eat less. But does skinny always mean healthy? That's the question. And my answer is skinny does not always mean healthy. Right. So if you are someone who aspires to lose weight, it is good as long as you're healthily losing weight. But sometimes there could be certain conditions where you can take it too far when you're in that weight loss journey, where your body starts getting depleted out of a lot of nutrients. And also, sometimes it's your metabolism and it's your nature or prakriti that you can hardly put on any weight, right? Or you lose weight easily. So we are going to discuss those things as well. Hello, Ushaji. Nice to see you. I'm doing good. I just took a little bit of a break for some life events happening, and so I just thought I'll hop back on today and get back going. So today we're talking about weight, not technically weight loss, but more about how to gain weight, right? And weight loss, for most part, as I mentioned, can be intentional. So you can exercise and lose weight, you can diet and lose weight, right? But sometimes there could be other conditions where people are having certain other existing conditions in the body because of which they're losing weight. um, Even extreme conditions like cancer have a lot of cachexia, but there's a lot of wasting of muscle tissues and there's lots of depletions. Some people by nature really struggle to gain weight, right? So what I mean by nature is when we talk about the Ayurvedic, Prakriti, we talk about three distinct categories of um, doshas. So we talk about the Vata Prakriti, we talk about Pitta Prakriti and Kapha Prakriti. So these are the people who have dominance of a certain dosh, in their body type. And the people who have a lot of Vata, right? You can call them Vata types or Vata dosh, are always going to struggle to put on any weight. And it's also the same for Vata Pitta types, right? So in my practice, what I've seen, either it's the Vata dominant nature, that Prakriti, that really struggles to gain any weight, right? Or it is the Vata Pitta person who can rapidly start losing weight, right? Because the metabolism is also high. So they can rapidly start using weight. And though they're having a lot of activities, they can end up losing a lot more weight, right? So this is something to understand. And when we talk about being too skinny, so in Ayurveda, there's a nice chapter called Ashtav Ninditiya. So these are 8 kinds of, what we call undesirable body types. Like you don't want to be too obese, but at the same time, you don't want to be really like bones as well, right? And sometimes it's not intentional, but you cannot gain weight. There could be multiple causes for weight loss, or if you're unable to put on weight, sometimes there could be eating disorders as well, right? So if you are someone who's struggling with who's super conscious of the calories that they're eating, or not wanting to eat meals, or are afraid of food. Orthorexia nervosa is another condition that's been diagnosed, where people really want to eat healthy all the times, but they get super caught up in the food, right? And rather than enjoying, rather than eating and helping it sustain their body, they are really a lot more focused on, okay, calorie efficacy am I losing weight? What's happening, right? So this is one of the reasons why, you should be really mindful, and being skinny is not always the answer, right? So everybody, while they aspire, but being skinny is not always the answer, because you want good proportions of your muscle tissue. You also need good body fat, right? So your good body fat is something that helps insulate your body. Especially in Canada, we are now transitioning into the cold season, right? So your body fat is going to insulate you, and your muscle mass serves as a storage, especially in terms of crisis. So whether you're recovering from any sickness or any flus or colds, or have had any other infections, or when your body is in a crisis, your body is going to tap into the muscle for amino acids and help make a lot of other, building blocks of the body. So that's why having ample amounts of muscle mass, having ample amounts of um, muscle and fat is extremely important, and also vitamins and minerals. So this is like the first part, that being skinny is not always the good thing, right? So being skinny is, while everybody loves that or wants to be, but you have to be mindful of how much, if you're aiming to lose weight, how much you're losing, and that can cause a lot of depletions in the body as well. And I can talk a little bit about my own story. So I had gained tons of weight, when I was around grade 12. And then by second year of my Ayurveda, I started learning a lot more about my body and understanding my body. And then with the help of an Ayurvedic doctor, just before I got into Ayurveda, I also lost weight. But I think I took it too far. I was dieting, I was absolutely avoiding any kind of fats. I was not having sugars at all, but I was also avoiding any kind of fats. And I actually fainted once, in my in the clinic, right? So as we were into clinical studies, you have all the patients in front of you in the hospital, and it was one of the clinical lectures, and I almost fainted. I blacked out, and my hair was really like, it was really dry and fragile, and I was getting like lots of split ends. I was getting exhausted. So that was what was happening, So it ended up like, I ended up taking this dieting thing too far, and it created a lot of deficiencies in my body, right? And that is why being skinny is not always a good thing. Hi, Chanchalji, nice to see you. So these are a few things, to understand. Now, when we talk about the fat, we all need good fat, which is extremely important for our body. Our brain is also a big, blob of fat, is what you can call. A lot of our organs, like every cell of your body, needs good fat, and you also need a layer of good fat in your body for insulation, right? Also, fat creates cholesterol, or fat cholesterol creates different hormones in the body, right? So cholesterol is a fatty substance in the body that can make hormones as well. So if you are someone who's absolutely scared of eating fats, or who's absolutely not eating any fats in your body, it is going to create lots of depletions. You're not going to also be able to absorb nutrients or absorb vitamins like A, D, E, and K, which are fat soluble, right? So from the modern perspective, that's something to keep in mind. From an Ayurvedic perspective, you also need to have that nice cushion of warmth, which is provided by your fat. And fat is mobilized the last in your body. So when you're going through a lot of crisis, or even when you're exercising, fat is the one thing that stays till the end, and it's mobilized the last. So you need good fat, you need good muscle. You need muscle for stamina, you need muscle mass for energy. When we talk about muscles, Ayurveda has a lot of functions of muscles that we talk about. I'm just going to go back to my notes quickly. So when we talk about this Mausa Dhatu, which is made up of earth and water, right, you will need good quantities of that, because if you are depleted, it's going to make you fatigued, it's going to make you tired, it's going to make you feel cold. Having low amounts of muscle mass also lowers your metabolism, right? You are more prone to colds and flus, and you can also be ungrounded or irritable. And Mausa Dhatu in Ayurveda gives you a lot of strength, courage, as well as resilience, as well as self-confidence. And this resilience also helps protect your immunity. You can spring back much faster, right? So I'm talking a little bit more about muscle mass, because there are a lot of myths around muscle and muscle building as well. So not everyone who starts, like, maybe I'll do another section on muscle by itself, but not always having tons of protein in your diet is going to help you build muscle. So that's the first myth that everybody talks about. Oh, I have lots of protein, I'm going to have good amounts of muscle mass. I have all seen the opposite as well. People who are having lots of protein but not having adequate muscle, and because the protein is not digestible. So this can happen. And on the other hand, sometimes you're relying on certain proteins, or ketogenic diet, sorry. Sometimes you're doing certain diets, which could be like ketogenic diets, where you're having really low amounts of protein, where you're losing more muscle as well, right? So that's important. Yeah, Agni and Ojas are like 100% interconnected, and muscle can help, because there's muscle Agni as well. um, Priyanka's here as well. Hello, Priyanka. So yeah, so having being skinny is not always, the answer. And a few things I'm going to talk about from um, Charak Sanhita. So just to understand, the features of a person who's like lost a lot of weight or very lean, that if you are someone who gets fatigued and cannot handle exercising, or you get fatigued by climbing some stairs, not just breathless, but really like tired or exhausted, right? If you cannot even stand having food in larger quantity, right? And if you cannot stand excessive cold or heat, so sometimes, people become very sensitive when they are in depletion. So if you get extremely exhausted, um, is one thing, but you cannot stand temperature changes easily. That's also a sign that, you're really lean as well. You could look lean, but also for some people, this could be another sign. And there could be cough, there could be a lot of muscle wasting, right? And sometimes it shows up in different conditions as well. So that's something to understand. And having good physical health, we talk about the Ayurvedic way of having good physical health is always, we talk about sama mausa praman, right? So having good proportion of musculature and good compactness of the body, we know as samhanan. And we talk about the strong indriyas, and we talk about being able to tolerate hunger and thirst, right? You're not getting hangry because your blood sugar doesn't get low, or you are not, if you're in depletion, then you're constantly going to crave foods, right? So these are a few things about people who are struggling, like some of the signs for people who are struggling with gaining weight. They can't gain weight. So for reducing weight, we talk about, okay, you should have like reduce all the fat. So typically for gaining weight, most people try to do the opposite factors. So they start eating a lot, and sometimes they cannot digest as much, right? So always the first key, whether you want to gain weight or lose weight anyway, is to focus on your agni, or your digestion, right? So your digestive apparatus, your jatragni, your fire situated in the stomach, is extremely important, right? Sometimes you're not, if because of mandagni you cannot digest any food at all, and you're not going to pick up the nutrients, and you might end up losing a lot more weight. So that is something to keep in mind. Hello, Madhavi, nice to see you. A few prescriptions for someone who has lost a lot of weight or looking to gain weight is, make sure you're sleeping at least 6 to 8 hours, right? So if you are exhausted, if you're in that state of depletion, make sure you're getting enough physical rest. That is extremely important. Making sure you're managing your stress levels. There is a tendency, especially with vata or vata pitta types, that when you get stressed, you're not going to eat food. There's an opposite tendency with a lot of kapha types, that when they get stressed, they always seek food, right? So if you're one of those people who is absolutely avoiding food because he's or she is stressed, or who forgets to eat because of a lot of workload, right? That could be one reason why you're losing all this weight. And that is one thing that you have to work with, right? So always also being content in your mind. If you're constantly focusing on something that's stressing you out, if you're constantly, churning, your mind just keeps going on, and if you are super anxious, you know if you have this rajasic thing in the mind, vritti going on in the mind, chances are your absorption is going to be affected as well, right? And if your body is an that constant fight flight mode, whereas constantly fighting or just shaking, you're creating a lot of vata aggravation in the body as well, which is going to dry your body out, right? You're also going to lose muscle mass. So that is why it's extremely important for you to start, looking at your diet, looking at your lifestyle, and then decide, how to change it. So Chanchalji is asking, what are good fats? So good fats are fats that are really suitable for you, especially because we're talking about Atikrisha, or difficulty to gain weight. One thing is internally having even saturated fat like ghee is fantastic, right? So adding ghee to most your foods, making sure it's digestible, right? If you have too much of ghee, you might not be able to digest, but start adding and start slowly increasing. Now the beauty of ghee is that ghee helps balance your pitta without subduing your digestive fire. So it's going to enhance your digestive fire, it's going to help digestion. At the same time, if you have excess fire element build up, it's going to subdue that as well. So adding ghee to your diet is extremely important. Ghee is also a brain food, right? So if you are struggling with focus and concentration and feel really scattered, it's a really good idea to start adding ghee back into your diet. Ghee, for those that don't know this, it's just clarified butter. So you're taking butter, cultured butter, um, at heating it at very low temperatures and taking all the milk solids out. Now there are different ways this cultured butter is made. It's made differently in India. Here it's just available. So whichever is easy. Ideally, the traditional one is how you should do. But even if you buy cultured butter, organic, and heat it at a low temperature and skim all of the milk solids out, it's going to be extremely good for you. The other thing that also works with people who are, you know um, losing a lot of weight is regular massages, right? So there are specific oils like bala ashwagandha oil that can also help build the muscle mass. So definitely adding a massage oil to your regimen is extremely important. Also, oils help combat this vata aggravation that has caused the weight loss in the first place. Also, if you are someone who's very anxious, it is touch therapy. So abhyanga or self massage or the Ayurvedic massage with oil is really going to soothe your body. It's going to shut down those stress triggers. It's going to comfort your body, and it will make sure you start gaining weight gradually, right? So Chanchalji is asking a question, is there fat in sugar? Technically not, right? Technically sugar is mainly like glucose or sucrose, right? But if you have excess sugar in your diet, it can deposit as fat in the body, because your body, if it cannot process that excess sugar, if it cannot utilize it, like if you have an energy bar and if you go running, you're going to use up that energy bar. But if you have that energy bar with tons of sugar and just sit down, then your body is not going to know what to do with it. So the insulin is secreted, and the insulin itself is going to deposit that excess sugar and convert it into fat if it doesn't enter your cells and if it's not utilized. So that's the one thing about one. Yeah, Snehana, I think Sanhana, I don't quite understand what you asked. Is it good or not? So good fats are really important, right? Massage, snehan, abhyanga is extremely important. We see that often in people who are losing a lot of weight, there's also a lot of dryness and roughness of skin. So internal and external, increasing the oil intake or the fat intake is extremely, extremely valuable in this condition, right? Wine, so for someone who has absolutely no appetite, so in Ayurveda too, they talk about navamadhya, like fresh wine, or navanna, like freshly harvested rice, right? Usually we recommend rice to be kept for a year and then had, but freshly harvested rice, freshly made wine, that's going to be helpful. And also having meat soups, adding bone broths could be one thing, but also adding some meat in it, right? That is going to help build the muscle, because muscle tissue from an animal can quickly convert to your own muscle tissue. So that can be understood as the bioavailability. So when we talk about proteins, animal proteins are way more bioavailable than vegan proteins. It does not mean that vegetarians, need to worry about it. If your digestion is good, you will be sourcing a lot of protein from the vegetarian foods as well, right? Making sure, with weight loss, especially that I see in my practice, it has a lot either to do with anxiety. The second thing that I see a lot of weight loss in my practice is because of digestive issues. People who have constant either stomach aches or diarrhea, or they're constipated and they have absolutely no appetite, right? So you have to find the root cause. So again, with weight loss, just like everything else, find the root cause of what's the big challenge. Why are you losing weight? What is causing this weight loss, right? So if it is digestive issues, then you have to figure out, okay, is it, um, is your body too acidic? Are you secreting a lot of stomach acid, that's causing the acid reflux? Or if your digestive fire is too low that you're not breaking the foods down, right? So that is one thing you have to figure out. Again, finding out your food allergies and food intolerances is extremely important. If you are someone who's suffering from constant diarrhea, right? Because I've known people with digestive issues to lose weight rapidly, like maybe a few 10 pounds or so in a few 2 weeks or something, so they lose a lot of the body water, but they can also end up losing muscle mass if they're not careful, right? So that's something very important. Herbs to gain weight, one of the best ones is ashwagandha, right? Ashwagandha is one of like my favorites. It's an adaptogen and it also helps gain muscle mass. Also shatavari that we talked about in the hormones, I think I made a post on it. I often talk about shatavari. So shatavari also helps with gaining weight. Also bala is a really good herb to help you gain weight. So these are all bruhan chikitsa where you can actually help gain weight. You can try any of these. Um, there is a nice shloka. I'm just going to translate it into English. So freedom from any kind of anxiety or worry is one factor. Eating a really nourishing diet and adequate sleep can make a person really fatty like a boar or a pig, right? So sleep is also extremely important, right? So these are a few conditions that I wanted to hop on and talk about. And there are different therapeutic measures as well. An example is, there could be localized, we're talking about weight loss overall, but if you're losing muscle mass in a certain arm or something, you could do lots of, there are procedures where we have minced meat and we take the mincemeat, yeah. So for like an example would be generally like paralysis patients and all, So if your arm is paralyzed, you're not going to, if there's nerve damage, you're not going to have good muscle mass there. But then we do some Ayurvedic like potli, swathe, mincemeat and all that. But meat at this point can be pretty therapeutic, right? For helping gain weight. A good meat soup, a bone broth, adding some meat or adding ghee with like beans, right? That could be another thing, making like a nice soup or a dal rice combination with some, khichdi, and making sure you're also adding some herbs like ashwagandha milk or shatavari milk that I posted in the recipe on my page. You could also try that. So that's all for today. I just wanted to hop on, say a quick hi, discuss a few things about gaining weight healthily. One thing I would suggest everyone is, if you have never done a bioimpedance analysis, do it, right? So it is where you can either go hold the machine, or you can lie down and people can put people as in the practitioners can put some electrodes on your hands and feet, and we actually test for body fat, muscle mass, we can also understand the hydration in your body, right? And that is how you will understand whether you're losing weight or gaining weight. I'll be talking specifically about muscle. I think I'll do another topic where I just talk about muscle mass, because that was one of the most requested topic as well. So maybe the next session on Thursday, I'll talk about muscle. So Chanchalji, roti is good. Now, Ayurvedically, I can't say one thing is good or not, right? We're talking about general, but if you don't have any digestive issues or wheat allergies, definitely you can have roti. In the olden days, wheat was used for a lot of strength. So if you look at people in the northern India, where it's even colder, they would have like a lot of roti with lots of ghee, because they would work in the fields and also to combat the cold temperatures, right? So definitely roti is good as long as you can digest the food, right? Your whatever you eat is fine. So in Ayurveda, there's also a saying that says that if you have a strong Agni, you can also digest poison and it's not going to affect you, right? So food wise, keeping a journal of what makes you feel good, what makes you feel not so good is important. Always writing down how you ate, like what you ate, how you feel, do you have any symptoms, do you have any bloating, do you have any gas, is extremely important, because then you know how your body is responding to the food, and you're also connecting with your body. A lot of people I see are disconnected with body, right? A lot of my clients, a lot of even my friends, and sometimes even me, like when I'm too busy with my brain and just constantly working on the computer or trying to create something, I often get disconnected with my body. But you have to bring yourself back into the body, really see how it feels and how it's responding to different foods, right? And that is how you can gain weight. And again, it is a journey, right? So like weight loss for certain people is really hard, right? So if you take a kapha body type like me, even if I eat air, I'll gain weight, is what I say, right? Similarly, for a vata or a vata pitta personality, it's extremely hard to start gaining weight. But this is the prakriti or your tendency you're fighting against, or your nature you're fighting against, right? So you have to be patient with yourself. You have to really make sure you're looking at your mind, body, spirit, and looking at all other parameters like sleep as well, making sure that if you change your diet and nutrition and suddenly you don't see 10 pounds gain on the scale, but at least slowly your skin texture is improving, or you feel more energetic, right? Or your hair quality is improving. So you have to look for those as well, and then eventually you will definitely get there. If you have any more questions about this, feel free to post it in the comment section. If you have any comments, feel free to post it in the comment section as well. If you know someone who's struggling to gain weight and who's really stressed, please share this video with them, or you can tag them in this video. And yeah, so I will see you on Thursday, 8 o'clock, same time. And on Thursday, I'll be talking more specifically about muscle mass, right? So it's one of my favorite things that I've like studied a lot into the whole muscle mass, Mausal. And I work with a lot of women. We work with a lot of digestive disorders. So that's why I like tracking. I always do the BI with my clients to figure out, okay, now, this is their muscle mass right now. Are they gaining? Are they losing? So I love tracking. So we'll be discussing a lot more about muscle mass. Vegetarian soups for weight gain. So one thing you can do is add some good quality bean for protein, but root vegetables are extremely important. So if you have carrots or even squashes like butternut squash, you can make like a nice soup. You can add some rice as well, or any kind of grains. So what we ask people to avoid for weight gain, you or kapha balancing, you can actually eat a lot of those things, even like fresh paneer, if you can handle, that would work really well to help build up the mass and balance the vata. But any kind of root vegetables, like having beets, you can make it into the borscht soup, or you can have carrots, make it into a nice carrot and ginger soup. A butternut squash soup would be a good idea. You can make like a mixed vegetable with rice soup. You can make like a chicken barley soup. beef barley soup. So any kind of soups, as long as they are nutritious, right? So always when looking for weight gain, try to see that you're packing good nutrition in the meal, right? And making it easily digestible as well, because you want, no matter how much you eat or what quantity or what ingredients you put, you want to be able to digest it. So an example is carrot ginger, where nice and grounding carrots, you can add some ghee on top and the ginger helps digest it, right? Any kind of chicken barley soup or even chili can be pretty fantastic. If you enjoy some chili, you can make it with either chicken or any kind of minced meat, or you can also use quinoa. So quinoa is a grain that is higher protein, right? So if you are experiencing any muscle loss, quinoa would work fantastic in soups as well. So I hope that helps, Madhavi. And I'll be talking more specifically about muscle gain in the next video on Thursday. I'll be live back tomorrow for another one on Wellness Wednesday. I think I don't even know the topic. I have to check, but I'll be live in my Facebook group. I'll be live on YouTube and also on the Blue Water Nutrition page tomorrow for Wellness Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And I will be back here on Thursday. Thank you, Madhavi. I'm glad you found it helpful. If you need more, have more questions, feel free to reach out. And if you know any friends, feel free to share this as well. Thank you and have a fantastic night. Bye for now.